Welcome to the webinar. My name is Mark Spillane, and I'm the Director of Expedition Sales here at Seabourn, and I'm beyond excited to share with you all the updates and excitement here at Seabourn Expeditions. Before we get into that, just a little bit of a background about Seabourn. We are an ultra-luxury ocean and expedition cruise line, highly personalized, intuitive, and warm Seabourn signature service, known for our special Seabourn moments and meaningful connections with fellow travelers, crew members, and communities we visit. All oceanfront suites with high-end amenities, world-class dining venues, generously appointed public spaces, and intimate yacht-like atmosphere on board. Everything included, of course, except the stress. The fleet that we have 5 ocean ships. That's Seabourn Odyssey, Sojourn, and Quest. And then we have our 2 newest and largest ships, Seabourn Encore and Ovation, at 300 suites and 600 guests. But what we're going to focus on today is our expedition ships, which are Seabourn Venture and Seabourn Pursuit. Venture launched last year, actually in 2002, July of 2002, 132 suites, 264 guests. And then our sister ship, Seabourn Pursuit, launched last year in August with the same guest accommodations. And I'm really excited to share this part of Seabourn with all of you. And I'm going to talk a lot about the new ships, the amazing itineraries, destinations that we'll be seeing and exploring with these ships. But I always like to start with a little bit of the evolution, because while I'm going to talk about these new ships, we're certainly not new to expedition. In 2011, we entered the expedition space by announcing our Antarctica voyages on board Seabourn Quest. We did the maiden season in 2013, so we've been operating for the last 10 years down in Antarctica. And our shoreside team, operations team for expedition, and our expedition team members have been in this field for decades. So they, of course, have lots of experience in this space. In 2015, we announced our Ventures by Seabourn program, which brought some of this optional expedition programming like zodiacs and expedition team members and kayaks to the ocean ships in certain destinations around the world. The most popular one is probably up in Alaska. And then in 2018, we announced that we were going to build 2 purpose-built ultra-luxury expedition ships, which of course we did, and that's what we'll talk about here today. For those of you that are newer to the expedition space, just some of the differences. They're typically smaller, more intimate ships like Venture and Pursuit on adventurous itineraries like the Arctic, the Antarctic, the Northwest Passage, the South Pacific, the Kimberly coast of Australia, just to name a few. We're going to explore regions that few will ever see, savoring life-changing moments on flexible itineraries, curated to take advantage of sea conditions and wildlife sightings. And that's a big difference you'll notice. These itineraries are flexible. They may not list exactly what we're going to do each and every day, and that's by design. We want to be flexible. We want to take advantage of all of these wildlife sightings, sea conditions, ice conditions upon arrival to curate the best experience possible while we're exploring. And why with Seabourn? Well, our luxury Seabourn experience on board that has been award-winning over 30 years, combined with uncompromised expedition experiences ashore, the newest luxury expedition vessels in the industry, custom-built and innovative luxury vessels, and of course, our experienced expedition team on board and shoreside. We're already winning awards with these 2 new ships. Just last year, we won Best New Expedition Ship for Seabourn Venture at the 2023 Travel Age West Wave Awards. And then just recently, we won Travel Weekly's Reader Choice Award Best Cruise Line in Antarctica. Really proud of these achievements, and I hope by the end of this presentation, you'll see why. What's really great about Seabourn Venture and Pursuit, they are true sister ships. So they are identical layouts, suite sizes, public spaces, all of that. The only difference between the 2 ships is going to be some of the artwork that you see around the ship. Both of them are 132 oceanfront veranda suites, so we don't have any insides, we don't have any window suites, all veranda, and that's accommodating 264 guests at max capacity. The hull of the ships are PC6 or Polar Class 6 strengthened, which allows us to navigate in those really exciting ice itineraries up in the Arctic, the Northwest Passage, down in Antarctica. Also allows us to put the ship right into the fast ice, like down in Antarctica when we find it. And we can open up the shell door and guests can walk right off the ship onto the ice. While we don't do it on every itinerary, when the weather and the ice conditions present itself appropriate, we can go ahead and do that. And it's always exciting for guests and crew alike. You can really tell these ships were designed for expedition. There's over 30,000 square feet of outdoor deck space, and that's really important. You want to either be outside or be able to get outside quickly when wildlife is announced, or when you want to be taking some photography and you want to be able to get inside to get a refreshment quick. All of that is very easily done on both Venture and Pursuit. And then, of course, traveling to some environmentally delicate places. We, of course, are custom built to environmental compliance, including having an environmental officer on both ships. So let's take a look at these ships. They're absolutely stunning. One of the first places you'll see is the Expedition Lounge on board. This is a really great place, conveniently located on deck 4, so one deck above the landing zone, or what is commonly referred to as mudrooms. And here in the afternoon, it's great for cocktails, or in the evening cocktails. There may be some musical entertainment here, great to catch up with your fellow guests and swap stories or pictures. And a really great place to put on any last minute gear before heading down to the landing zone and out into the zodiac. Just forward of this, we have the Discovery Center, a really important part of the ship. This is where all of our lectures will take place by our expedition team, but also this is where the nightly recap and briefing takes place. Again, going back to that flexible itinerary, it's here that each evening the expedition leader and his or her team will host a recap and briefing in the evening to let all guests know. Well, first we'll talk a little bit about what we did that day, may have a short lecture based on what we did that day, and then they'll let all of the guests know the plan for the next day. So where we expect to be, what the weather, sea, and ice conditions are looking like, and what time we expect to start our operations. Really great too is both ships are equipped with a Cineflex camera on the mast of the vessel. So when wildlife is spotted just a little bit farther away, about 2-3 miles from the ship, we can turn that on, zoom right into it, and then live stream it here to the Discovery Center. I was actually on Seabourn Venture up in the Arctic last year, and we did just that when we were sailing between two destinations. A polar bear was spotted about 2 miles from the ship. They turned on the Cineflex camera, zoomed right in, on it, and live streamed it here, where the polar bear expert invited all the guests down, and they were talking all about the polar bear's behavior, the approximate age, male, female. So it was a great way to tie in the knowledge of the expedition team with the wildlife of the destination, even while we're sailing between spots. And that live stream goes into each and every guest suite TV as well. Just as important, the dining venues on board Seabourn Venture and Pursuit are all included, so no additional charge, no need to make dining reservations. It's really a flexible experience on board. This is our main restaurant. We have, this is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, of course, with rotating menus. If we go up to deck 5 in the aft, we do have our outdoor patio area. There's heaters in the ceiling, so even when it's a bit cooler outside, you can still be comfortable. We have the pool here and 2 hot tubs. Even the pool is heated, so guests tend to use that even in some of the cooler destinations. And if we go inside the doors here, we have the Colonnade. This is another restaurant open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast and lunch, you have the European bistro setup where you can select items from the buffet setup. Of course, there is a menu at each table, so if you'd like to order off the menu, you're welcome to as well. And then in the evening time, it is a sit-down restaurant, all menu service. If you're familiar with our ocean ships, we have an earth and ocean dining concept. We don't have a dedicated space for that here on our expedition ships, but we'll rotate those menus here in the Colonnade on select nights throughout the voyage. Here we have our Seabourn Square. This is kind of the heartbeat of the ship. This is where we have we roast our own coffee right on board the ship. So you always have great coffee with breakfast items in the morning. In the afternoon, you have homemade gelato, finger sandwiches. There's coffee, of course. We have our reception here, our future cruise desk, and a great lounge area to just enjoy those sea days. My favorite part of the ship is the bow lounge. This is located on deck 6 forward. Really great space because you have the full bow of the ship that you can go out, take photos, spot wildlife. A really great place to be while you're navigating through some of these very scenic destinations. And then inside you have these row of monitors that are mirror images from the bridge. So as the navigational officers are moving the maps or changing screens, you see all that in real time. The expedition team also loves to be in this space, so it's a great way to connect with them, ask any questions you may have. They're really knowledgeable and always ready and excited to engage with all of our guests on board. Then we, of course, have public spaces like the full spa, salon, and fitness center, beautiful spaces. The gym on board even has an outdoor deck space so you can get outside quickly. You have your spa. We have these two beautiful saunas with windows to the outside, so you're never missing out on the destination. And it's a really great place to go after you bravely do the polar plunge, whether it's the Arctic or the Antarctic. And then we also have the club. This is another evening venue. We have our sushi bar here. So in the evenings, usually between 6 and 9, sushi is available to enjoy, whether you want to have it as an appetizer before going to one of the other restaurants, or like me, have a glass of wine, some sushi, enjoy some music. It's a great way to end a busy expedition day. And then we have the Constellation Lounge. This is another evening entertainment lounge, great for an afternoon tea on the sea days, a cocktail after dinner, or any of the entertainment in the evening. Again, listening to great music to just kind of chat and get to know your fellow guests a bit more. The suites on board are absolutely beautiful. This is our lead-in category. It's our veranda suite, 355 square feet, beautifully appointed. But my favorite feature of all of these suites, they each one have a warming closet in them. This is really important, especially for the polar voyages. You'll want to, we do multiple outings a day, whether it's Antarctica or the Arctic. So again, my last trip, I was actually down in Antarctica just in November. And it's really great to come back to your suite after the morning outing, put your park in here, your hat, your gloves, anything else, and then go enjoy a coffee or some lunch. And by the time they're calling us for the afternoon outing, it's not only dry, but it's warm to put back on and head out again. Really is a Seabourn differentiator. And then we have our panorama suite, the next size up. This is beautifully appointed, as you can see, with that bay window living room area. And it's just a little bit larger at 417 square feet. And then we get into our upper suites, our premium suites, which is our penthouse suite, sitting at about 527 square feet. Here you start to get the separate bedroom and living room area. Then you have your owner's suite at 1,023 square feet total, and you have the separate bedroom, a larger living room, dining room area. And then we have two of these beautiful two-story winter garden suites, one on each side of the vessel. So you have your living room, dining room, kitchen area on the first floor, and on your second floor is your bedroom area, of course, facing out the two-story floor-to-ceiling windows. Absolutely beautiful. Here we're just over 1,044 square feet. And then our largest is our signature suite located in the aft of the vessel. These two both have a private jacuzzi tub on the veranda to enjoy, but also the larger living room, a dining room area, and of course, separate bedroom at 1,377 square feet. So no matter what type of space you're looking for while you travel to these remote destinations, we are likely to have a space for you. And who are the guests that you're going to encounter on board? Well, what I love about Expedition is the guests that are on the ship. These guests enjoy international travel, of course, but also culture, nature adventures, gourmet food and wine, skiing and safaris. The guests are active learners and doers who embrace a sense of purpose in life and appreciate elite, guided, off the beaten path experiences. They enjoy various hobbies such as photography, birding, scuba diving, history. All these hobbies, all these interests match very well with Expedition because we have voyages for all of them, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then also a lot of guests who may not have thought of themselves of enjoying a cruise, because this really isn't a cruise. It's more of a safari at sea. We're in these really remote places. You're with a small group of people, and you're with the experts the entire cruise. So you get to know them. You get a chance to ask questions, to be with them, to have dinner with them, have a drink with them, be in the zodiacs. So it's really a different experience overall. And then the expedition team, I've mentioned them a few times. We have an amazing team on board that have dedicated their lives to the regions that we sail. They have decades of experience of sailing in these regions, studying these regions, and it's a pretty large team of 24. They consist of wildlife experts, scientists, historians, naturalists, glaciologists, ornithologists. The list goes on, and they're really fascinating people who I just can't help to be excited to have a conversation with or listen to a lecture about whatever their field of study is. So this team is going to take us out in the destinations. So we'll start up in the north in the Arctic. We have some really great itineraries. Depending on what you're looking for, we have Iceland and Greenland, of course. Greenland, east coast of Greenland up into Northeast Greenland National Park, which is up on the far right. That's a really great remote voyage, great for polar bear spotting, icebergs, ice cruising, a beautiful part of Northeast Greenland. But then you also have Iceland, which is a phenomenal destination. And then we also have Greenland, where we go up the west coast of Greenland, great for not only the wildlife, but meeting with Inuit communities that are still in this region, getting to know their culture, their way of life, how they live in this remote part of the world. So it's a great expedition that kind of gives you both wildlife, but also culture. We also do the Northwest Passage. We completed our inaugural Northwest Passage on Seabourn Venture last September, and we are doing it again next year in 2025. We have two Northwest Passage voyages, so we're really excited about that. And then we also are returning to Svalbard. So we have great voyages up in that region, great for polar bear spotting, ice cruising. We spend a full day cruising the ice as far north as we can get, depending on the ice conditions. But really great true expedition voyage up here in the Arctic. And then we have some voyages that kind of bookend the season that are a little bit different. In the beginning of the season, we'll explore the UK, a little bit different of an itinerary than you would expect on an ocean ship. And then we also end the season with this great voyage in the Canadian Arctic as well. I did that voyage last year, actually, and we saw a pod of beluga whales. I was so excited, in addition to polar bears, of course, and other great wildlife. And just to show you some photos from these itineraries, you have all this beautiful wildlife, the king of the north, the polar bear, but also reindeer, walruses, seals, countless seabird life. But for me, it's always the landscapes. This is how I usually begin. And my day is just taking in the awe of the destination that we're sailing through. And as you can see here, this is up in Northeast Greenland National Park. At the sheer size of these icebergs, it really kind of just brings to our attention the power of Mother Nature while we're exploring these destinations. And of course, we're doing it all with the expedition team. We're also going ashore for walks and hikes, looking at the geology, the plant life with these experts. And then we do our kayaking programs up here as well, where we have two kayak guides as part of the expedition team to take us out kayaking. And we also have two 6-passenger submersibles to explore under the water up in this region as well.
Expedition leader, polar bear scout. Polar bear scout, go ahead. Expedition leader, we see a polar bear on the hill just to the west of the landing site. Understood. Breach, expedition leader.
Go ahead, expedition leader.
Stand by for further information.
Absolutely phenomenal part of the world. Let's jump down to the southern hemisphere and Antarctica. We have an absolutely beautiful season down here every year in Antarctica. What's great about our Antarctic voyages is all of them start with a pre-night hotel in Buenos Aires. So all of our guests will arrive there, which has great international airlift. It has a one-night pre-hotel included in the voyage, and then we take all of our guests the following morning on a charter flight down to Ushuaia to board the ship. And then at the end of the cruise, we have the charter flight to bring you back to Buenos Aires, where then you can connect easily to your onward international travel. When we're down there, of course, we're looking for these guys, the penguins. We have the 3 main penguin types that you're going to see on the peninsula. In the top left, excuse me, you have your Gen 2 penguins. The bottom left, you have your Adelie penguins. And then the ones jumping into the water there are the chinstrap. They're very boisterous. They have great personalities, and it's really exciting to see them all around in this region. We can also, I mentioned the PC6 and putting the ship into the fast ice. That's what you can see here. Actually, we did this. This is how we christened the vessel in 2022. And then the first voyage down to Antarctica that I was on in November, we were able to do it as well up in the Weddell Sea. It tends to happen earlier in the season when there's more ice, but it's absolutely phenomenal when you can. do it. So here's a quick video about Antarctica.
The Seabourn Venture gets you closer to wildlife than anywhere else in the world. There were gentoo penguins, they were swimming close to us but trying to avoid us really fast, and that could only mean one thing: leopard seal chasing them. All of them jumped really quickly, desperate for their lives, and later we saw the leopard seal swimming next to us. So she was pumping out the head out of the water. It was 2 encounters for the price of 1.
You can see why I mentioned that it was more of a safari. You're seeing the wildlife in their natural habitats. It's absolutely fantastic. We have 3 different voyage types down in Antarctica. We have an 11-day. This is our shortest itinerary. This provides 5 full days of exploring the Antarctic Peninsula, of course, looking for all the penguins and the whales and the seals that are down there. Then we have a 13-day, which is a full 7 days exploring the continent. The only difference here with those 2 extra days, we can either go a little bit farther south, possibly below the Antarctic Circle, or we'll go up into a deeper exploration into the Weddell Sea, which is the northeast part of the peninsula. It really just depends on what the weather, sea, and ice conditions and the wildlife is doing once we get down there, where we spend those extra 2 days, but it just allows additional time to really explore and immerse ourselves in the region. And then we have the 21-day, which includes the peninsula that I spoke about, but also the Falkland Islands, and then over to South Georgia, which is more biodiverse than even the Galapagos. The wildlife here is stunning. The photo here you see on the right is king penguins. Of course, there's multiple landing sites with hundreds of thousands of breeding pairs of king penguins. So it's absolutely phenomenal. You have elephant seals, various wildlife on the beach. It's really one of those moments that just leaves everyone speechless. And then here's a full shot of it. As you can imagine, coming ashore here is just a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Of course, we're going Zodiac cruising. That's all complimentary. Our landing ashore is complimentary. Even if guests don't want to stay ashore very long, or they don't want to do long walks or anything like that, the expedition team is always available there to take the guests back early. But of course, for those guests that want to stay a little bit longer, they're welcome to as well. We really do cater to all the guests. We don't want them to feel marginalized, especially if they just want to step foot on the continent and say they did. But for those that want to spend a little bit more time or do longer walks and hikes, they're welcome to do that as well. And then we do our kayaking down here, as well as our submersibles.
We're paddling under the Antarctic Circle. We saw this whale glowing. It was so quiet, I could hear the guest's heartbeat. It was a once-in-a-lifetime encounter.
And as I mentioned, we also have our submersible. So here's a few more photos of inside the submersible, what seeing in these remote destinations, what you may see. And let's take a look at a video.
The subs are probably going to be the greatest exploration journey that the ship has on board.
It's a way to actually encounter the environment and feel like you're right in the water with it.
The sphere has the same reflective index as water, so the second you go underwater, that sphere disappears.
It just blows people's minds.
Bridge, sub 712, we are away.
The operation is incredibly safe.
These are state-of-the-art submarines.
They're rated to about 1,000 feet, 300 meters, and then there's a support boat that stays on the surface.
Many of these dive sites are totally unexplored, and so our guests go down and see something that no one ever has seen.
We want people to come back from their experience feeling magic from it.
We're taking the subs and we're exploring the world's oceans with them.
I've had the opportunity to go in the sub. It's a phenomenal experience, especially for someone who's not a scuba diver. It's a really great way to see under the water. So I spoke about the north and the south. That's what Venture will do. She will go north and south. Pursuit will also be in Antarctica with Seabourn Venture. But at the end of the season, instead of going north, she's going to go west through the South Pacific all the way to the Kimberly coast of Australia. These are really great warm weather expedition itineraries, going to places like Easter Island, the Pitcairn Island, all the way over through the French Polynesia, the Solomon Islands, eventually, as I mentioned, making her way to the Kimberly coast of Australia. One voyage I wanted to highlight is the 15-day remote shores of New Guinea and Indonesia. This is on Seabourn Pursuit, August 11th through August 26th, 2024. Departs Darwin, Australia, and then it arrives via charter flight back into Sydney. It's a phenomenal, true warm weather expedition voyage, and there's going to be something for everyone on this voyage, from scuba diving to snorkeling, hikes, learning about the local culture, wildlife, zodiac cruises, World War II history, just to name a few. We're of course going to experience some of the most incredible snorkeling and diving anywhere in the world. Beautiful coral reefs that are protected and thriving. We're going to visit local villages and be welcomed by dance performances and locally performed music. We're going to learn about life in some of the most remote wilderness parts of the world while meeting with local villagers. See some remains of the World War II vehicles and planes that are sunken in the waters. In the nearby islands. And then, of course, we're excited that both our kayaks and submersibles are expected to be utilized on this itinerary as well. Certainly going to be an amazing itinerary not to be missed. And then we also head over to the Kimberly coast of Australia, as I mentioned. These are 10-day voyages between Broome and Darwin, and then the reverse. Beautiful destination with waterfalls, the horizontal falls phenomenon, exploring Hunter River, Mitchell Falls, possibly via helicopter, Montgomery Reef, Freshwater Cove. There's some great Aboriginal history in this region, so we'll include some of that as part of the experiences for our guests. And as I mentioned, it's just a true remote part of Australia. Many of these places are not accessible by roads. Really, the only way to explore them is by ship, and Seabourn Pursuit will definitely be the newest, most luxurious ship exploring this region. Of course, we won't do swimming or snorkeling, scuba diving, anything like that in this region, as there, of course, are saltwater crocodiles, and of course, safety is the #1 priority, but it will be a phenomenal destination to explore. So with that, I'll just end with a few of our partnerships. On our polar voyages, we do provide a parka complimentary to all guests, and they are with our partnership with Helly Hansen. So they're really great quality, and you do get to keep them at the end of the voyage. And then each suite on board both ships does have a pair of Swarovski binoculars. So really great high quality binoculars to use throughout your voyage. So it's one less thing you have to worry about packing. And then we do provide a few additional items, a beanie hat on the polar voyages, and then also a dry bag. So if you want to put anything in it while you're heading off on your expedition, and a stainless steel water bottle, as we have no plastic water bottles on board, and there are refilling stations all throughout the ship. Those 3 items you also get to keep along with your parka. So the Seabourn Expedition difference, I hope you've seen it, but it really is our ultra luxury ships, our 24-member expedition team, our fleet of 24 zodiacs, which actually can accommodate all guests on board, 8 double-seat kayaks, our 2 6-person submersibles, and of course our all-inclusive experience, from your gratuities, your Wi-Fi, which is Starlink now, and all of your beverages, your meals. The only thing additional really is your spa services. So the Seabourn difference, we believe that true luxury travel isn't just about going places, it's about being moved deeply, joyfully, and unexpectedly. We have a really great promotion going on right now. So this is it, the moment you've been waiting for. If you book by between now and February 29th, we have our Sale of the Year event. So what that provides is up to a 25% saving on select voyages. And a lot of the expedition voyages are 25% off, which is a really fantastic value. We have a reduced 15% deposit, which is normally a 25%. So you're saving some of the deposit there. And if you book by January 31st, so the end of this month, you also get up to $1,000 per suite shipboard credit. Absolutely phenomenal promotion that we have going on. Again, book by January 31st for the extra shipboard credit, or for the savings and reduced deposit that will extend until February 29th. And so you've heard me share a bit about the Seabourn Expedition experience. Let's hear what some of our guests have had to say.
I definitely had some expectations, but I was blown away pretty much from day one. I realized that my expectations were absolutely nothing like what the reality was. And I know that probably sounds like an advertisement, but it really has blown me away. I Was very stressed out before I got on the ship from excess work, just like everybody is. And when I came here, I felt like I was coming home. I felt like I found my soul again.
It's like coming home. And what that adds to the experience is the fact that you feel comfortable as soon as you step on the boat.
From the first second you put your foot on the Seabourn ship, you feel good. It's never average. It's always a little bit more.
We were a bit skeptical about cruising and we weren't sure that we would really like it. And now looking back, it was such a good decision.
Eating is more than just feeding your body, more than just consuming the food in front of you. For me, eating and enjoying an eating experience has to be a total experience. And we get that with every meal on Seabourn.
With Seabourn, it's just an amazing experience. It's really opened our eyes to expedition cruising. What we felt was the same energy, was the same spirit, was the same service.
And the same smile.
Yes, and the same smile.
And the suites are amazing. I can't talk enough about how amazing the suites are and how we love to just sit in our suite and watch the sea go by.
Kayaking was just mind-blowing, and the only thing you hear is the crashing of an iceberg when it splits away.
Seabourn manages to create that unique connection between luxury but also that feeling of being home. You know, I walk on board a Seabourn and I feel pampered, I feel special, but I also feel like I'm stepping into the warm embrace of an old friend.
I thank you so much for your time in watching this webinar, and I really hope you are inspired as we very much look forward to welcoming you on board an uncompromised luxury Seabourn expedition in the near future. Thank you so much.